Hello, doctor. Good evening, doctor. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. Our students are joining in, and I'm very excited to see that you are already here. Please, can you? Okay, you've made him a co-host. Okay, so we can't hear you. Can you speak? Confirm that the audio is.
Yeah, I'm here. Dr. Patrick Udona is here.
Yes, yes, yes. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for being here on time. And we are going to be starting immediately. Um, yes, our students are still joining. Yes, okay. So, welcome everybody to the 13th class of our farm food safety compliance training for smallholder farmers in Nigeria. It has been a beautiful experience. 13 classes so far with different lecturers giving us in-depth knowledge about food safety. And I am very certain it's my pleasure that in my lifetime, we are going to be affecting farmers. We are going to be affecting the way farming is done in Nigeria. And I want to specially thank all our facilitators, including our today's facilitator, Dr. Patrick Udonyang, who is a senior lecturer, crop production and farming systems in Akwa Ibom State University. I want to state here from beginning that he has come here on 100% volunteer capacity. When we shared the knowledge, the idea with him, he said he has to be part of redefining and remodeling the new and the modern farms in Nigeria. And he is here today to contribute his quota, his knowledge to how agriculture develops and moves further in Nigeria. Thank you so much. Students, I just want you to just use your digital hands to to just clap and show some form of appreciation to Doctor for being here today. Yes, please, in the chat box, Doctor, for your information, to be able to muted all of them so they will not be able to speak in the course of your training. They would only be able to use the chat box. After your training, we will then unmute them for questions. So if you need them to respond to you, just ask them to put it in the chat box and they will respond. As you can see, they are clapping in the chat box and the number will increase. Before we hand over to Doctor to start, I want to also do the brief introduction. This is Farm Food Safety Compliance Training for smallholder farmers, and this is the first component of our World Food Safety Commemoration Project. So this year, GSAI as an organization decided to go to look into the concepts of food safety. And then we decided to go down to the farm because food safety from the farm has been a largely ignored issue. We have farmers that practice all types and different types of practices. They use different unhygienic practices to cultivate their crops and rear their livestock. And we now, in fact, let me share this experience. I had a contract to supply ginger outside Nigeria. And I thought, oh, why not just get ginger and supply? And then by the time I picked a random ginger from the Nigerian market and sent abroad, it was rejected with the speed of light. And I then discovered that you cannot randomly pick a Nigerian produce and send out. But these are produce that we are consuming daily in our domestic markets. It is important that we begin to train farmers on how to adopt safe practices that even in our domestic markets, in the international markets, our produce can reach international safety standard. And that is what birthed this project, where we wanted to commemorate the World Food Safety Day. And then from there, we now had three components. That is this virtual training and the the food safety field day and farm tour, and then finally the Nigerian Farmers Town Hall Summit that will be happening on the 28th. So without wasting much time, we'll be handing over to Doctor to begin. I hope the technical team, Mr. Gabriel, you're on standby to share his slide. Or Doctor, would you want to share your slides yourself?
Do it that way.
Okay. So
do it on the side.
Okay, technical team, please begin to, yes, thank you so much. And put it in presentation mode, and we'll be handing over to Doctor to begin the class. Thank you so much, everybody. Doctor, you have the mic.
Thank you, moderator, and a very good evening to all. Like you said, I am Dr. Patrick Ibanga Udonang, a senior lecturer with the Akwa Ibom State University. I have been in this issue of farm and farm management as a director and as a farm manager in very many farms. Nonetheless, I want to say that the topic that is given to me, which is a very interesting topic, identifying and managing food safety risk. Identifying and managing food safety risk. And there are sub-focus that I'm going to look at: the common food safety risk in farming, and then conducting risk assessment on the farm, and then developing risk management plan. Now, just to make the matter clear, I want to look at the main heading: identifying and management of food safety risk. Identifying in itself has to do with knowing, because when you know a problem, you are halfway solving it. Then the other side there is the managing. You manage in form of handling whatever you have identified. And then the food safety risk, of course, that becomes the major point of interest. So let's go back. Next page, please. Next page. Next page. All right. Are we lecture? But so that we can have a clarity on where we are going, I have decided to just capture one or two things here. That food safety risk, otherwise termed food safety hazard, it refers to those hazards or risk that can contaminate or endanger food and made it unsafe for human consumption. That way it could lead to illness, it could lead, so it becomes a I said it could be seen as those risks that can lead to foodborne illness or injuries. Foodborne illness refers to those illnesses that are coming in because the food itself is contaminated. And they can create injuries too. And again, I had to go into the classification of food safety risk. And I said we have the biological, the chemical, the physical, and the allergenic, which can contaminate either crops or livestock. So this is just to give a clarity on what we are going to now talk about. So that takes us to the sub-focus, which I had put there as the common food safety risk in farming. Common food safety risk in farming. Like I had mentioned earlier, that we categorize into biological, chemical, and then physical and allergenic. We want to look at the biological risk. Now, for that, we have it that these are mainly caused by microorganisms. And we have a whole lot of them. We have the bacteria such as the Salmonella, the Escherichia coli. We have the fungi like the molds. We have the virus like the norovirus. We have the parasite like the tapeworms. And of course, the sources of all these. We have the raw ingredient. For instance, if you take a raw meat and then maybe add into a food item that has been cooked and already you contaminate. You have contaminated water, you have improper food handling practices. And of course, the major people that are culprit to this is the food handlers. Because in most ways, they can do, just to quickly whatever process they are doing, they can do that to now rush up their food. Now, the second there is the chemical risk. Now, this confers contaminants that are gotten from pesticides, herbicides, vet drugs, or natural toxins that contaminate food. Now, what are toxins? One may ask. Toxins are substances that are produced by living organisms, and they are harmful. They are harmful to organisms or harmful to humans and all that. So where are the sources of chemical risk? The sources are environmental pollutions. You have improper cleaning agents. We have migration of chemicals from packing materials or packaging materials. So those are the sources. Now the third is the physical risk. The physical risk. These ones, you refer to them as foreign objects. For instance, if you have broken glass, metal pieces, hairs, plastics, or other objects present in food, their presence there can cause injuries. And of course, the sources of that are just accidental contamination. Could be in the course of processing, cause of poor handling practices, or contaminated equipment. Then the last one is the allergenic risk, which refers to allergic materials. And what do we mean? If we say something is allergenic, it means that thing is allergic. The reactions, it has an allergic reactions on the susceptible individuals. And we have mentioned there the sources as a cross contamination during food processing and manufacturing. So that takes us to a next page, which is the examples of food safety risk. Examples of food safety risk. I know this has already been taught in maybe 1 or 2 lessons, but all the same, I love bringing these up so that we can always have a flow. So the first one that I have it as unsafe packaging, using packaging materials that can release harmful chemicals into foods. And then the second one is the cross-contamination. We transfer pathogens from raw meat to cooked food, for instance, or from contaminated utensils to food. Now, what do you mean by pathogens? Pathogens are disease-causing organisms. So by the time you transfer them from a raw meat or into a cooked item, definitely you are contaminating it. Then we have a situation where we have improper temperature control. Improper temperature control. You don't get to the actual temperature that is safe to keep the food for a period of time. You just reduce the temperature, and that way it creates a room for bacteria. Now you have mislabeling. You're supposed to label whatever package or product accordingly. But where there is a misrepresentation in terms of labeling, it provides a health hazard, and that is a problem. Now the next page takes us to impact of food safety risk. Impact of food safety risk. The impact could be from foodborne illness, and foodborne illness, we know, of course, that affects millions of people, especially in a situation where the environment is not hygienic enough. So it is there, it affects millions. Then the other impact is the economic burden. Economic burden, maybe on the nation, the community and all that. It strains the health systems and impact on national economies. Now the third impact is on the public health concern. You see, it poses a threat to public health and calls for efforts to prevent and manage them. Now, that takes us to the second focus, which I told you, conducting risk assessment on farm. Conducting risk assessment. Having known the common risk in the farm, we now want to see how do we conduct. So if you must conduct the risk assessment on the farm, we have to first of all identify. And when you identify, you analyze. And when you analyze, you prioritize the potential hazards. All these will help you to minimize the risk at the farm. Now let's look at the first point there, which is the risk identification. Risk identification. You can identify a potential hazard by looking across all the units in the farm. Because I know some farms, they have buildings, they have fields, they have storage areas and equipment zones and all that. All these are potential areas that risk can emanate from. So when you want to do a comprehensive assessment, you must look at all these areas too. And another area to look at is the workers themselves. You have to engage the workers because one or two of them may know a particular area of interest that may need to be handled. So you alone wanting to do it, you may not be able to get to the core of the matter. So all you have to do is engage the farm staff. That's why we say involve the entire farm team. And then the next thing you do in the course of identification is to document. You document all the things you see because whatever you document will help you in taking decisions and making final decisions of what to do. So you document. Now the next one there is the risk analysis. The risk analysis. Remember, we have talked about identification, we talked about analysis. Now, you have to determine the probability of each risk occurring. What are the chances that this kind of risk can be occurring in a particular setup? And then you go again to evaluate the expected impact on the farm production or even on the income losses, because once there's an risk, there's definitely going to be income losses there. And you now look at how do you want to manage, how do you want to control the risk? Now the next thing there is you try to prioritize. You look at that risk that has a potential severity and impact. You tackle that first. It's not that you are not going to tackle the other ones, but at least considering the impact that that one will cause, you go first for that, and then subsequently others will follow. And then you develop a strategy to mitigate. Mitigate means to solve, to handle the risk. Now, the fourth point there is the mitigation strategies. So like I have there, it could be engineering control, it could be physical changes that you bring into the farm, you know, you bring in a machinery and all those things with the trainings on what should be done, or you establish procedures and policies to reduce the possibility of such risk. And again, you can provide appropriate equipment, which we call the personnel protective equipment, so that the workers can use that and abet the hazards and the risk. Yeah, the next thing there is to document. You create a friendly document that can be updated over time. And then ensure that the document that you've created is active. It's not just something that will be active maybe for a while. It should be active all through. And then you try to communicate the findings to all the persons in the farm. Because it's no use developing a strategy, and at the end of the day, even the people that are in the farm, they are not used to it. So you try to communicate, you tell them, this is this, this is that, in case this is this, this is what should be done. And then the last there is the review and implementation. Regularly, you have to reassess what you have done, because you see, this is a technological age. Everything keeps changing. So you have to review, look at what you have. Does it need a formal reassessment? Does it need a change? Does it need something to be done? And you continuously improve on that. Now, the third focus is on the development of a management risk plan in the farm. You have identified now what you do. You want to now develop a plan. So the strategies that are involved there is, first you have to identify potential risk. if you must create a plan, you must identify. Because it's in the course, like I had said before, it's in the course of identification you'll be able to now know this and this are the things to do. So identifying the potential risk, then you assess the likelihood and the impact. The likelihood in this case is called times of occurrence. And of course, if it occurs, what impact will it create? And there again, you go ahead to develop strategies to mitigate them. And of course, you may decide to diversify your production from crops. You know, you can go into agri-insurance, so that at least if in the worst scenario, the insurance will be able to take care of that for you. And then you can plan, and maybe you subcontract and then classifying the risk. Under that, we have a lot of risk in the farm. And what within limited time that we have, we can look at one, the production risk. This refers to that which the things you will experience in the course of your producing in the farm. Then you have the price and market risk, which has to do with the relative price of the commodity and the cost of production. Then you look at the financial risk. This relates to the debt, liquidity, and the profitability of the farm. And of course, the legal or institutional risk has to do with regulations. It be regulations by government, regulations by the community, or whatsoever. And then you look at the human or personal risk, which has to do with relationship, the labor, the health issues, and all that. Now, the second aspect there under the plan, first, risk development. You say you diversify. You can decide now to, okay, instead of me putting all the risk or planting only one kind of crop, I can now plant so many, so that if it is, for instance, a disease, if the disease is holding on to one here, maybe the other crop may have a resistance. So when you diversify, you to the risk and reduce the impact. Then ensure that the savings, the management of the debts and all that, they are properly taken care of. They have a buffer against losses. And sometimes some people go into contract farming where they now agree with the buyers and say, okay, when we process or when we produce, we give this to you. Maybe such farmer must have been experiencing a kind of storage problem. So by the time you now have a contract farming as a strategy, that way you produce and the buyer will take it from the farm. Then you have a data technology. These days you look for a good and precision technology that you now use to optimize and maximize your resources. And then climate resilient practices. Of course, this you have to do to check, especially now that we have issues of climate change. You have to look at what you do to forestall the effect of that in the farm. Now, the third point there is how you assess the risk. Because if you must plan, you should be able to assess the risk. So that way you determine how often each risk could occur. How often will this occur? So if it is something that will occur always, all you need to do is to make sure you forestall it. At least you reduce the times and number of occurrences, except those ones that you cannot control. Now, you consider the potential consequences of each risk in terms of income and production losses. That is the impact assessment of the impact. Now, the fourth point there is implementation and monitoring. You implement the chosen management strategies, those ones that you have chosen to handle, and then regularly you assess the effectiveness of the plan and make adjustments where necessary. So that is, those are the ways you follow up to ensure that a management plan is developed. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much. That was very, very concise. We thank you for that. So we'll just be going straight into questions. We already have people that are raising their hands. So we'll just give the floor to Ifeanyi Onugbo. Ifeanyi, you can unmute, and I've asked you to unmute and ask your question. Okay, more hands are coming up, but let's take from Ifeanyi. Ifeanyi, tell us what state you are talking from, and then you ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm joining from Imo State. And my special thanks goes to our facilitator. Thank you very much for this insightful session. Really appreciate it. My question goes this way. When you were talking about foodborne as one of the things that poses risk to farmed food, I was actually thinking about the residue. You know, most times in the market, most of us are always used to bringing products to the market that still have some drug residue in the animal or the livestock they are bringing to the market. So my question now is, how can we actually get to identify this kind of product, that when we see this product, we can actually identify, and how can we put that to a stop? And my second question is, you talked about labeling as one of the ways to avoiding the risk to a product actually. So I want to ask, how do we identify that a product is well labeled and we can actually proceed to purchase the product? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ifeanyi. Soil-borne risk. You talked about going to the market with it. How do you identify in the market? Is that your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, you see, I think in this case, it has to do with the actual product in question. Now, if you look at yam, for instance, someone harvests yam, and with all the dates and soil and everything, it just moved like that to the market. I mean, simple observation will tell you that this is not probably clean enough. There's nothing wrong in the producer cleaning the yam, making it decent, and then you take it to the market. So I think it has to do with the product in question. There are some products that you need ordinary physical eye, and then you identify that this one is not clean. Then let alone those ones that are being produced and then taken to the market. Those ones may be a bit funny and difficult because the assumption is that it has been properly done. But those ones that are very physically seen, you can always identify, like I've used that yam. Now, you talked about labeling. You see, labeling is supposed to speak and tell you exactly what is inside. To really know that what is being labeled is not the same thing as what is inside is, by the time you pull this out, you read what is written outside there. The moment you see that the words written outside and what you are holding does not coincide, it means it's a mislabel.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Ifeanyi, please drop your hand so that we know those that their hands are still up. Ifeanyi, can you drop your hand? Okay, thank you. Kehinde Idowu, you have the mic. Tell us where you're joining from, and you ask your question. Kehinde, you've been asked to unmute. Kehinde.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kehinde.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Kehinde.
I have issues with when it comes to indicating the level of moisture content in a product or the shelf life. How is this determined? How do I determine the shelf life? Hello?
Please come again. Let your question have some kind of life, you know.
So how do I determine
okay.
the shelf life?
Okay, doctor, he's asking how he can know the expiry date, the shelf life of a particular produce.
How do I take that decision? How do I decide it? How do I decide that, say, product A has 12 months expiry date? How do I come about that?
Okay, that's funny. Well, for products that are being produced from industries, I think it is up to the producer to now fix a time. And this time that they fix, putting all the conditions into place and putting all the research that they have done, the trials, they now be able to tell you, okay, the shelf life of this under this condition should be this. Now, I heard you mention moisture content. Well, moisture content, of course, minimally, we can go for 9% to 13% moisture content is ideal for storage. It's ideal for storage.
All right, doctor, thank you very much. Doctor, so I don't know if you'd want to, because I think his question was more like if there's a formula or there is a way of calculating for expiry dates for a particular produce and all of that. I don't know if there's if that was his question.
Well, that's what I did not understand, but I am only trying on my own side here to see if I can give some satisfactory answer to him. All the same.
Okay, doctor.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, somebody Utubekwa is hearing here, lab scientist and a product analyst does that for me. Yeah, I think it's not something you can just sit down and do on your own. It's something that the lab scientists and the product analysts can identify. Okay, let's take two more questions and we'll call it a wrap. Thank you so much, doctor. Adeyemi Fatimo. Adeyemi Fatimo, you have the mic. You have been asked to unmute. Adeyemi Fatimo.
Okay, good evening. My name is Adeyemi Fatimo. I'm coming from Lagos. So, Prof, under common food safety risk, you made mention of biological hazard, and you said there are microorganisms that can cause foodborne illness. So you gave example the bacteria like Salmonella. So can you explain how a quantitative risk assessment is conducted for that particular pathogen?
Okay. Well, Salmonella, for one, is a bacteria. I guess you understand that.
Yeah.
And what it does is to cause food poisoning, you know, and that food poisoning contaminates the meat. It can even be poultry, it can be eggs. So by the time you now mix, you carry the raw meat and then carry it along with the cooked food. There's definitely going to create a problem there. So for us, what we try to do, knowing too well that these are two extreme situations, you try to avoid them because the SARS is a raw meat there. the raw meat itself provides a substrate
Mm.
for whatever to now grow. And even the salmonella grows there.
Mm.
All right, thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Adeyemi. Can you drop your hands so that we know those that are yet to ask their questions? Thank you so much, Doctor. Finally, we'll just take the last question from Goodness Elims. Goodness Elims. Doctor, are you speaking? Goodness Elims, you have the mic.
Yes,
All right. Good evening.
with you. Good news, good news. Go ahead, good news.
All right. Good evening, sir. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we
good
can hear
news.
you. Go ahead.
Good news. Go ahead. I'm hearing you live and direct.
Good evening. My name is Goodness from Akwa Ibom State to you. Actually, you mentioned something about agricultural insurance in the process of
Okay.
mitigating. I think this is my first time I'm really hearing that, and I would love you to talk more about it.
Okay. Good news. In Nigeria, there is what we call agric insurance. You can insure your farm against any hazard. And the insurance company, they have all the right to make sure that in case there is any disturbance or any problem, that they have to repay you or put back all those things for you. So there is, it has been, and I'm only surprised at good news of all is not hearing.
I wanted to know
Yes.
if, hello, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, if what? You want to know what?
If I can do the insurance with any insurance company, or if there is actually a particular company that focuses on agricultural insurance.
Yes, there are companies that are focusing on agri insurance, but all the same, other insurance companies can afford to go into it. All you need to do is ask them what can you people do, and they will tell you.
Okay.
So if it has to take charge of your own agri, fine. But definitely we know there is agri insurance.
Yes,
All right,
Doctor. Okay, Goodness. I'd also like to add to that, Doctor. There is the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation. It's a government-owned insurance firm, and their focus is largely agriculture. So you can read about them, Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation, NAIC. And then, of course, private insurance firms have started developing agri insurance products that, but most of them are not very comprehensive. So like Doctor has mentioned, before you subscribe to any of them, you have to confirm what are they insuring, so that you do not start and at the end of the day, they say, no, we are not insuring pests. No, we are not insuring flood and all of that. So you can check what NIAC is doing. You can check some other private insurance firms and confirm exactly what their policy covers. Thank you, Doctor, so much. You have been so very, very impactful today. And that is all the questions we would like to take. We'll only take one student to give an appreciation message. Goodness, you have a follow-up question. Please, we will want to release Doctor because Doctor had already informed me of a prior engagement. Please, so I would say if you have questions, you just forward it via WhatsApp, and then we will forward it to him and see how we can get answers in the next class. Attendance, there will be no attendance for today. There will be no attendance for today, so you just take it as an attendance-free day for all of you. Doctor, thank you so much. So I will be asking Musaib Ibrahim to take the mic and appreciate Doctor on behalf of all the students for today's class. Musaib, you've been asked to unmute. Give an appreciation. Don't ask question, please. Musaib?
Hello.
Yes,
Good
Musaib,
evening.
we can hear you. Tell us where you're
Yes,
joining
good
from.
evening, Bosa.
Thank you, Doctor, for this wonderful presentation. It's so concise and then highly impactful. We really appreciate your efforts, sir. Thank you very much. And also the moderator, Mr. Vlad. We really appreciate it. It's highly
All right, thank you, Musaib. Thank you, Musaib. And we will, okay, let me just take someone else, Effiong Ita, to also do appreciation. Effiong Ita, your hand has been up. That is why I'm asking, but please do not, you can send your question in the chat box, but please just do an appreciation on behalf of all the students. You've been asked to unmute. Do an appreciation to Doctor on behalf of all the students. And Effiong Ita, are you there?
Yes. Hello.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, yeah, good evening very much. Thank you very much. I think Doctor has done, I think, great justice to the topic. I think very, very essential. I want to say the very big congratulations to him and also for the JSAI, also for this opportunity. My name is Effiong Ita. I'm chatting from Ugoja in Cross River State. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Effiong.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we will be calling today's class to an end. Okay, we're still having appreciations from the chat box. So we will be seeing Doctor again in the next class on Saturday, developing a food safety plan. Please come on time. As you can see, Doctor is a very sharp man. He does not waste time with plenty stories. So if you want to actually learn, after learning everything about food safety, if you want to actually learn how to develop a food safety plan, next class is the class for you to attend, and you will learn in practical terms how to develop that. So please, I would advise that you come on time, and so that you enjoy and be part of the class. Thank you so much, everybody. More information will be shared in the WhatsApp group. People are still asking for attendance. Today is attendance free day for all of you. Thank you, and we'll be calling the class to an end. Goodbye.